Hi, this is Jeffrey from MTB Guide, and today it's time to review the Giro Cinder MIPS helmet. This is the little brother of the popular high-end synth helmet, having most of the features at a fraction of the cost. With MIPS becoming more and more standard on helmets, there still remains a lack of testing results. And I voluntarily took one for the team in this one. But before elaborating on that, let's take a closer look at the Giro Cinder MIPS. You might wonder why a road helmet is on the mountain bike channel. Well, in cross-country racing it's still quite normal to use a road helmet, as well as wearing some tight lycra. And I have to admit, I ride on my road bike from time to time. With that out of the way, let's look at the specs. The Giro Cinder and Ember are the little brother and sister of the Giro Synth. Where the Cinder has been introduced as a men's helmet, the Ember is introduced at a later point as a women's helmet, with only the aesthetics to differentiate itself. There had to be taken some cost-saving measures to bring down the price from a steep €300 for a synth helmet down to a more reasonable €150 retail for a Cinder. But looking at this comparison, the differences aren't as big as you might expect. Check the links in the description for up-to-date pricing. Probably one of the most noticeable differences while wearing the helmet is the weight. The Cinder is about 20% heavier, but can still be considered a light helmet with its claimed weight and actual weight of 295 grams for a medium-sized helmet. The Cinder is also a bit rougher around the edges in terms of finishing. The Rocklock 5 system is slightly different and a little less refined compared to the Rocklock Air system found on the synth helmet. But you still have a knob on the back of the helmet to easily fine-tune the fit of the helmet with one hand, and vertical adjustments can be made. Both helmets feature removable pads that you can easily clean and stick back onto the Velcro pads. A feature that has been completely left out for the Cinder are the docking ports for storing your sunglasses during your ride. And this can be a deal breaker for some. Both helmets are EN 1078 certified, which is one of the main things any helmet should at least comply with, thus ensuring a certain level of protection. MIPS is an added protection that reduces rotational forces on angled impacts and therefore reduces the chance of a concussion. But MIPS is not included in the certification process of helmets, meaning the effectiveness of these implementations to reduce rotational forces can vary greatly. I don't say that MIPS is bad, and I do support every attempt to make helmets safer, and looking at the way it works, it seems obvious that it could be very effective. But without some publicly available independent test reports to compare and prove its effectiveness, I remain skeptical. If you do crash with the Giro Cinder MIPS, you can make use of the crash replacement program till 3 years after your purchase. This way you can buy a new Giro helmet at a discount. The discount is usually 50% of the retail price. I've ridden with the Cinder in the summer and down to temperatures to near freezing. And with 26 ventilation holes, you would expect it to be very ventilated, right? Well, I feel that it actually lacks in airflow inside the helmet, especially at the top of the helmet. I felt that the MIPS layer was also obstructing some of the airflow. The padding I found quite thin, but the shape, adjustability and overall fit of the helmet made this not an issue. Storing my sunglasses in my helmet isn't something that I do often, but I did find it a bit annoying that I couldn't put my glasses anywhere if they kept fogging up. Clearance with the use of bigger sunglasses in combination with the Cinder was not an issue for me. From standard sized Oakley Jawbones to the bigger models like Jawbreakers and Speedcrafts, all sunglasses did fit well with room to spare. I like to test the products thoroughly for these reviews, with the exception of safety equipment for the obvious reasons. However, I did have to bin this helmet after about 6 months of use due to a pretty severe crash over the handlebars in a ditch after being in contact with an upcoming cyclist on my lane. The cosmetic damage on the helmet was minor, but the helmet cracked and I myself did sustain a serious concussion. The MIPS layer reduces the chance of a concussion, but it doesn't completely eliminate it. Just like all helmets in general, they only reduce the chance of severe injuries. The Giro Cinder MIPS is a mid-range helmet that is not far off the high-end synth helmet. Yes, the synth is a better helmet. It fits better, looks better, has better airflow and a nicer finish. But still, is the €150 better? If you have the money to spend and the helmet fits well, then it's a no-brainer. But if it's more value for money you look for, then the Cinder is definitely a better choice. Crashing with a helmet and sustaining an injury doesn't directly mean that the helmet is bad, even though that I feel that the Cinder and helmets in general could do a better job at protecting your head. But it all comes down to chances. And as long as testing methods and research stay behind, this unfortunately will be the case for some time. And that is why I won't give the Cinder a negative rating regarding the crash. Choosing a helmet is always personal, and I do recommend trying a few helmets out. If a Giro doesn't fit well, I'd recommend looking into the Bell Stratus MIPS, which also sits in the same price range as the Cinder and has a slightly different fit. But there are of course many other options to choose from. The fit of a helmet should be priority, and after that, price and aesthetics. Thanks for watching my review of the Giro Cinder MIPS helmet. If you liked the video, please hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't yet. MTB Guide brings you product reviews, how-tos and trail highlights, so if that's what you're into, definitely subscribe and you'll be notified when a new video goes online. Have a nice day and I'll see you the next time.